goal without a timeline is just a dream. Robert Hajovic.
Welcome to Living at Your Finest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Babs. I'm a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, and I am the founder of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a holistic direct primary care practice. Did you know that 80% of lifestyle-related chronic diseases within our communities are preventable, with poor diet being the primary culprit? Now, contrary to what we thought, that it was our unfortunate genes, the good news is that we can make changes together to improve our health and quality of life. So that's what this podcast is all about. The Living at Your Finest podcast is devoted to helping families to live at their finest well-being using a holistic approach with a healthy lifestyle to nourish and flourish as a whole, vibrant, and healthy champion. So join me and my guests as we share transformational and sustainable skill sets from our health and wellness journey to support you and your families in achieving optimal well-being. Ready to live at your finest? Well, let's get to it.
Greetings, health champions. Welcome back to the Living at Your Finest podcast show. I trust that you're all doing well. I am excited that you tuned in today because you're in the right place at the right time. Why? Because I have a wonderful guest, the amazing Dr. Brittany Anderson. She is here to empower our listeners with physician-backed strategies on how to keep those goals, healthy lifestyle goals, sustainable, right? So that you can live at your finest well-being. So I cannot personally wait to dive in. Our discussion topics is going to be just about SMART goals. You've probably heard about it, but it's really going to be attainable and practical. So I want you to tune right in. Well, let me go ahead and introduce her. So Dr. Brittany Anderson is a board-certified family medicine physician dedicated to health and well-being of individuals and families in Alabama and beyond. In her private practice, Dr. Anderson provides comprehensive and compassionate care to her patients. Beyond her practice, she is passionate about medical education. She enjoys teaching and mentoring the next generation of physicians through her involvement with medical students and family medicine residents. So a warm welcome to you, Dr. Anderson. Thank you for giving us the honor of being on our podcast show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love your show and I'm excited to be a guest today.
Yes, awesome. So I always love to start with stories. I see the great work that you do, and I love that you're an educator because that's my passion too. So I can see why we connect. But I want to hear about your story. How did you go from being an educator, to opening up your just wonderful practice that is serving your community? Can you share a little bit about that background, where that all began, so that we can learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm at the beginning, but I'll be quick about it, I promise. So I grew up on a farm, a family farm in Alabama, in rural Alabama. Always loved reading. My parents say since I was 6 years old, I said I wanted to be a physician, which was interesting because I didn't know any docs who looked like me, had no, family members who were physicians, but I knew it was what I wanted to do. So I went through my training, went through a lot of different kind of thoughts in my head of what type of medicine I wanted to practice, and family medicine just really fit in to what I wanted to do. It allowed me to see kids, it allowed me to see adults, also allowed me to do some procedures and really get some mental health work in. And so I love practicing family medicine. Throughout my career, I've done a couple things. One, I was in academic medicine, so in a institution where I was teaching medical students and residents, and realized that just as much as I love seeing patients, I also love teaching the next generation of physicians. And so I love doing that in academic practice. But I got to this point, Dr. Babalola, where I was like, I don't want to work for anyone else right now. And so, small things kept happening that were pushing me along this path towards private practice. And 3 years ago, I bought in, started a private practice, and it's gone really well. And it's even as much as I thought I would miss getting to teach students and residents, I still have them come out to my practice. And I realized that not only do I love teaching students, residents, the next generation of doctors, but also love teaching my patients. I love talking to patients to make sure they really understand, their own health and where we're trying to get to with their health. So being able to talk to them in clinic, being able to talk to folks on my podcast, on your podcast, on anyone who wants me on their podcast, that's really fun. And it's become what I love to do in medicine.
Yes, I love it. I feel like you're my twin sister.
I know. I feel the
Because everything you said, I mean, you said 6 years old, mine was 5. You're a family medicine educator, love to teach, and so everything is so similar. And we actually share an anniversary together, isn't that right? It's
That's right. See,
3 years
we are
old, I'm 2 years,
kindred
the same,
spirits. That's
same
it. We're
July, same
yep,
spirit.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly
The
right.
only difference is that you wanted to open up your practice from the get-go. I fell into it because I
Oh,
was like, yeah, I want to spend more time. And this is just, in academia, they were not giving me the opportunity to do all the things I wanted to do. Then I
hey,
started thinking, what's the way out? And then I started thinking about private practice. But
absolutely.
I love your story and I love the work that you do. So, being an educator, I would love for us to dive right in. Let's talk about the SMART goals. What does that exactly mean? Can you share to our listeners why do they need it and what exactly does SMART goals mean?
Let's get into it. And so when we say smart, smart is just an acronym, right? It doesn't mean smart as opposed to not smart or dumb or anything like that. It really is an acronym. And so the S.M.A.R.T, where the S stands for specific, and I'll go through each of them, but I'll take just a little bit of time early on to say each of them. So the S is for specific, the M is for measurable, the A is for achievable, the R is for relevant, and the T is for time bound. And I think that when we're talking about making goals, it's one thing for us to make just really general goals, but it's another thing when our goals are super specific, and that is the S in SMART goals. And so in my practice, actually in the waiting room, on months that I do what I'm supposed to do, my patients will come into the waiting room and you can have magazines, you can have books, the TV can be on, all those things, but I like to put out a little printout, a handout that says, what's your SMART goal for the month, right? And they get to choose their goal. They put the 3 steps that are going to help them get to their goal. They put who's going to hold them accountable to reaching that goal. And then when they come in the exam room with me, they get a little bit of time in the waiting room, sometimes more time than they want to have or I want them to have. So it gives them something to do, right? So they get into the exam room with me and I see that paper in their hand and I'm able to look at it and say, hey, what's that goal? What are we working on this month? And sometimes I'll see a goal that just says, I want to be healthier. And that is a great idea to have in your head. But what I encourage my patients to do is I say, all right, let's take a little bit of time. Let's make that into a SMART goal. And I say again, that doesn't mean that the goal you have is not smart. But for me, let's use this S.M.A.R.T. So take the example of a patient who says, I want to be, I want to walk more. That's one that I hear commonly. And so if we were to turn that into a SMART goal, the S again is being specific. So with that S, I want patients, people in general, to define clearly what they want to achieve. So instead of saying, I want to walk more, I want you to say, I want to walk, every 20 minutes every evening, right? So that's much more specific than just saying, I want to walk more. And so the first part, the S is being specific, the M is being measurable. And for me, measurable just means that you can go back and check off, yes, I did this, or no, I didn't do this, right? So if it's blindly, I want to walk more, then it's more than what? Because do you actually have anything that you're really comparing it to? And so again, it is that way to know how you're succeeding. And even sometimes what I'll encourage my patients to do is to actually measure that thing themselves, right? So whether that means that they have a page or a calendar that they're using or something in their phone that every day they go in and fill in a circle or make a check mark or, put a, did it on that day, whatever it takes, but going back and being able to measure to say, I either did this thing that I said I was going to do or I didn't do this thing. So the S is making it specific, the M is making it measurable, the A is making it actually something that is achievable. And so it's one thing, I try to walk every day. I shouldn't even say that. I walk 5 days a week. I do the best I can, but it would be absolutely insane and not achievable for me to say I want to walk, 3 hours every day, right? And so we have to be, making sure that it is achievable. And maybe another word for that is realistic, but the R in SMART is already taken for something else.
Yeah.
And so I'll use achievable, that patients or people really should make sure that what they're saying or what they're saying is their goal is actually something that they can do. Not to shortchange yourself, because if I needed to walk 3 miles, then yes, perhaps I could do it. But you want to give yourself a little bit of room to actually get to whatever that far off thing is. Because a goal, you set it, the T is time bound, and we'll talk about that, but you can always set set a goal, say, yes, I met that goal, and then push yourself a little bit more with the next goal that you make. So start off making sure that the goal is achievable, something that you can actually do. And then the R is that it's relevant. And when I think about the relevancy of goals, I mean that you can say in words what reaching that goal means to you. And so for the I want to walk more, well, I want to walk more. Sometimes people will say because, I want my blood pressure to be better. And that's wonderful. But I push them a little bit and I say, why do you want your blood pressure to be better? And then I'll hear, because I don't want to have to take so many blood pressure medicines. All right. And so then you get to the true answer of this is why you're walking. And when I think about that, the why it being relevant is important is because that's what's going to drive you, right? And when you get to a day and it's time to go walk in and you don't want to walk, that thing you're going to remember is, hey, I'm out here walking because I don't want to have to take, X number of blood pressure pills every day. And so making sure that you find some way to make that goal relevant to you. And then the T is that it's time bound. And with that, I think that we should give ourselves a deadline to not make it something that's going to go on forever, right? To not make it something that, again, we're not able to track. So maybe that goal looks like I'm going to walk for 20 minutes, 5 days a week for the next month. Every day, 5 days a week for the next month. Then you have put an end time to it. And at the end of that month, you can look back and reflect on it and say how you did with that goal in general. And then you make your goal for the next month, right? And so we can apply SMART goals to anything that we do. I just really work to encourage, my patients, my friends, and my family to really apply it to health matters. And so I think that SMART goals are really important as it relates to our health.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you so much for being so comprehensive about it. I wrote down so many points, and I love the idea of while they're in the waiting room, let them go ahead and be reflective about it, right? Use the time wisely. So when you come in, you have something to make that collaborative relationship, right? What are your goals? How can you make it smart? And then, just track it from there. I love that idea. So I'm definitely going to steal that one. And
Good.
I do it while I'm with the patient, but I love the idea that, while they're sitting down, it's a good place to be reflective. So yes, very good for that. And I love the whole idea. For me, I'm a strong believer that if you cannot measure something, you can't manage it, right? So you
Absolutely.
definitely need numbers, data driven. Now, the achievable can also be attainable too, right? That
Yes,
pretty much the
exactly.
A could either
Uh-huh.
be of the two. And I
Mhm.
love what you said about we are at different seasons in life, and we need to be honest with ourselves.
Mhm.
We don't want to go from 0 to 100, right?
Right.
But at
Right.
the same time, we want to make that progress every day. And, there might be a season where you can do 10,000 steps, and there might be another season where you can only do 2,000 as long as you're doing it, right? So you have to make it relevant to your point. And then
Exactly.
certainly the question that came to mind, but you answered it, is when we say time bound, because somebody could say, well, if I just did it for a month, then what happens afterwards? Is that it? Am I done? I thought
Not
lifestyle was
it.
a journey, but no, you reassess and
Yes.
make another time bound. Yeah, so very good. I love it. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. My goal on this podcast is to empower, educate, and encourage you to take actionable steps to triumph at living at your finest, body, mind, and spirit. Of note, the information provided here is for educational purposes only and does not substitute as medical advice. Please discuss your healthcare needs with your licensed medical professional. If you are in need of a compassionate and comprehensive holistic physician or know someone who is, please reach out through my website, livewellness.com, for a meet and greet. It will be my honor to talk to you. Are we connected on social media yet? I share more in-depth content on best practices to ensure that you live at your finest daily. So please join me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Living at Your Finest Wellness, where we can learn together and stay connected. Lastly, please subscribe to iTunes if you have not done so already, and share the podcast within your circle of influence. An extra step? Leave a review and let me know what topics or discussions you would like to hear more of. Thanks in advance. It is always a thing of joy to hear from you. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
Well, I guess the next set of questions is going to come more around for you. If in your practice, maybe your family, friends, when you tell them this, they tell you what's about the barriers? I mean, life happens. Life is lifey. We hear that all the time, right? So how do you share, they have these beautiful SMART goals all laid out, but obstacles happen, life happens. How do they navigate through this? How do you help them with this emotion if they feel, because sometimes I know I sometimes feel like, I get discouraged if I don't meet these certain goals. How can I redirect?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that making it achievable becomes so important, right? And so you heard me say earlier, I started to say, oh, I can walk every day, but then I backed it off and I said, actually, maybe 5 days a week, but to give myself some grace. So meaning that if we get, 2 days in the week and Monday has been rough and Tuesday has been rough, that's okay. I've not completely, shot this in the water. My 5 days are still out there. And even if we get to a space where, our goal is 5, but we only do it 3 days, I think that when we have it written down, we have it in front of us, it gives us that time to reflect and say, okay, last week may not have gone how I wanted it to. There's always next week. Let me jump back on this horse and get things going in the right direction. Another thing that I love, and I think that if people are comfortable with it, when you set goals, is that you should have an accountability partner for those goals. Now, your accountability partner can be a best friend, it can be a spouse, it can be your coworker, it can be your child, right? My accountability more times than not is my 16-year-old niece. And if you need an accountability partner who's going to make you feel bad about yourself if you don't do it, find a teenager because they will let you know when you
I
don't
know
do
that for
it.
sure in
Yeah,
my house. Yeah.
absolutely. And so, but it helps because
Yeah.
if you pick the right accountability person,
Yeah.
then they really are going to be checking in with you, but checking in with you from a place of love. But when
Yeah.
you know that on Friday you got to call somebody or they're going to call you and say, hey, did you do what you're supposed to do this week? It kind of pushes us along a little bit to do
Yeah.
those things. But I
Yeah.
think the biggest of it, Dr. Babalola, is giving ourselves grace, right?
Mm.
Realizing that it is okay for a day to not go like we want, a week to not go like we want, a month to not go like we want. We have our entire lives to live. We put that amount of time behind us and we make a plan to do more and do better in the next month that's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a journey, right? It's not a
Mm. Yeah,
sprint. It's
right.
continuously progressing and improving. So I love that you said get an accountability partner, give ourselves grace,
Yeah.
and even more than that, I also share, have a backup plan, especially if you say, yeah, you're going to go walking. But what if it rains? Does that mean, yeah, you
Mm.
can't walk anymore? So maybe, on YouTube, they have walk, exercises where you can walk in place. I mean, I am a physician walk leader for Walk with the Dog organization, and I know that we've had to take our walk indoors where we
Huh?
just walk and just clear the space and just walk. So have a backup plan for, if life happens, but again, give yourself grace. So that's very important and relevant for our listeners, that we're all in this together. We know it's a journey and we just keep reassessing and set ourselves up for success, right? They say
Yes,
failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And
that's right.
so if we have sitting down and putting the SMART goals together definitely helps us prioritize those healthy habits and
Yep.
make them sustainable.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Giving ourselves that grace and then having the backup plan is so important. I remember those days when everyone, was wearing the smartwatches and we were all shooting for those 10,000 steps. And
Yeah.
you'd be in competition with other people, and you could see how many steps they had. I remember there were nights that I would just be circling around my house trying to get my steps in. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
finding those backup plans, and that's not just for walking, that's for, weight changes, for meal changes, whatever it is that you set those goals to be, think about obstacles that could come and go ahead and start to try to think in advance what you'll do if that happens, because it's so easy to say in the case of walking, oh, it's raining out, can't go today. But once you thought through that and thought through those possible obstacles that may come, then you're not allowed that excuse, right? Because you've already figured out some other way to get past it.
That's right. That's right. Well, this has been great. And I'm sure, I mean, I've learned a lot already. Like I already said, that this is a great episode for everyone to just lean in and share with friends and family. But we want to shift gears now, just learn about who you are as an individual. Dr. Anderson, we know so much about you in terms of your practice and you being an educator. But now we want to find out a little bit more about you. And so the first question I have for you, the podcast is called Living at Your Finest. So we want to know about you. How do you live in your finest? I mean, what are the things that you do that makes you show up? living at your
Okay.
finest?
All right, I'll tell you a couple. So one, and I'll think about just from early morning as I go through the day. The first one, and I'm almost embarrassed to say that I've not done this for a very long time, but I wake up every morning and the first thing I do is make my bed up, right?
Okay,
It
fantastic.
is, but I'm embarrassed to say that it's
Oh,
only been
you
maybe
haven't done
2 years
it.
that I've been doing that. Those last 2 years, I make my bed up and the first thing in the morning, if I don't do anything else that I'm supposed to that day,
Yeah,
it's that quick win for the day. I
yeah,
did this. It's wonderful in the morning because I've accomplished something within,
yeah.
3 minutes of getting out of the
Mhm.
bed. But it's also so welcoming at night when I go to get back in the bed, right? That I get into a nice, crisp, clean bed. So that's one that I do that. But the other that's huge that really does, help me to live at my finest is that I wake up every morning. I've got 10 kind of affirmations that I say every morning. I don't even know if I should call them affirmations. It's more of my, vision planning for where I want to be. And so the set that I say right now, I wrote in May of this year, so May 2025. And so every morning I get up and I say by May 2026, and I just start
Mhm.
rattling them off. And it used to be that I'd wake
Wow,
up and have to read them off my sheet of paper, but now between me walking from my
fantastic.
bed into the bathroom, being there, brushing my teeth, whatever's going on, I'm saying those things
Mm,
aloud or
love it.
usually saying them aloud. I try not to keep them in my own head. I try to put them out into
Yeah,
the
voice it
atmosphere and
out.
to voice it out. I think there's so much, obviously lies in the power of our tongues and in saying those things. And even if sometimes those things are absolutely just wild, once you've heard yourself say them out loud 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, they become so much less wild. They become actually realistic, right? Because it's not this foreign thing. It's, hey, wait a second, I've been hearing this for, the last 60 days. Maybe I can
Mhm.
actually do this. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things that I do. And I drink a good bit of water. So I have to throw that one in there because I know you'd appreciate that. But those things, the making my bed, making sure I'm drinking plenty of water, but also speaking kind of the vision that I have for my life and for myself, speaking those things aloud every day, whether I'm at my house, if I'm, staying over at my parents, if I'm
Mhm.
on vacation in a hotel, regardless of
Very
where I
good.
am, that is my routine that within 5 minutes of my feet having hit the
Love
floor,
it.
those things have come out of my mouth. So,
Awesome, awesome. Oh, I love it so much. I'm getting goosebumps because I'm a strong believer of speaking life and speaking
yes,
it out and declaring how you want your day to go. Because the moment we wake up, all those crazy thoughts already start. And if you don't take control of your morning, I don't know where I read it, but I know that just a big win is laying your bed. That you start up strong and then speaking it out, right? So that is very powerful because the brain is listening to what the
yep,
mouth is saying,
absolutely,
and you put
absolutely.
out the words that it's not supportive of where you want to go, you're tailoring yourself and atmosphere to that. So
Yep,
so thank you for
absolutely.
sharing that with us. I love it so much. Very good. All right, second question.
Okay.
So what is one word that describes you? I'm curious what you're going to say because you're a woman of multiple talents and gifts. So I'm wondering what word you will select that describes you.
All right. So the word I'm going to select is tenacious.
Very good.
And that word is not this isn't the first time I've had to answer this question. And tenacious is always the one that I go with. And my parents set me up for it. My middle name is literally Tanae. And I've always grown up being like, it's Tanae, like Renee, but with a T. That's how I've always said people. But now I say it's Tanae, like tenacious. And that
Oh,
is that is it. My parents certainly, I mean, you talk about kind of, putting things out there as they are to become, speaking things into what
yeah,
you want them to be
yeah,
and just
yeah,
that forecasting and I
yeah.
think that I think tenacious is the word. I
I
have a
love it.
grit and a tenacity that when I set my mind to something, it is okay. Even if I have to go out of the box to make this thing happen, I'm willing to go out of the box to make it happen. And I think honestly, Dr. Babalola, only in the last, I don't know, only in the last maybe 5 years or so have I really been able to see how truly tenacious I can be. And that's been just an absolute blessing for me to be able to push myself out of the zone. It's the zone that's been set for me by my family, my parents, all those things, but to really push out of those and see how much I can actually do. And so that word would be tenacious. So it's
Awesome.
Brittany Tanae Anderson. The Tanae is short for tenacious. Is how
Oh,
I say that.
fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Well, please share with the listeners, how can they stay in touch with you? Tell us all the great things you have going on. I certainly will put it in the show notes, your contact information, but I want to give you an opportunity to, share how people can get in touch with you and if you have any parting words.
Okay, yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to kind of share the things that I'm doing as well as to talk with you and in your audience. It's always such a pleasure. We literally are kindred spirits. Like our life trajectory
Yes,
is
yes.
so similar. But I have a couple things going on. So I have a podcast that's called Headed to Healthier. I've been blessed to have you join the podcast.
Yeah,
It'll be
it
so
was
much
fun.
fun with your episode, but it is a podcast that generally is for women who are 40 plus who lead busy lives, but have said, now is the time for me to take control of my health. And so, podcasts available on all podcast platforms. We've got a Facebook page, Headed to Healthier Friends, and I post there regularly. I've got an Instagram that goes with that as well. And the Instagram is headed underscore to underscore healthier. So those are the things that are going on related to that. We talked about setting SMART goals, and I told you that I've been doing that in my clinic for some time with my patients. I love a good planner. I'll add that as well. And over the last several months, I've been working with a designer, a graphic designer, to create a planner. And so I have a 2026 planner that's called Healthier. And it is a planner and a goal setter and a journal and all those things in one. And so it's a regular daily planner that you would think of, but it's also kind of that thing that I wish my patients had. It's got a place where they can put all their medicines, they can track all their doctor's appointments, they can make the notes that they want to ask their doctor before the appointment and then go back and put what their doctor said. And it's got a place for them to set goals, SMART goals, every month. And so I'm excited about that and excited to push that out here at the end of 2025 as folks get ready for the new year. And that's it. I'm helping other docs start their own private practices because I love my own private practice and it's just given me so much joy in medicine again. And so those are the things that I have going on now, and I'm really excited about them.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. I just love it. I mean, like I told you all, this episode, you're going to have to share it with people within your circle because there's so much that Dr. Anderson is up to and you don't want to miss it. You want to be a part of it. I mean, that whole journal and everything that you just described, everyone needs something like that. So definitely I'll make sure that people have access and know where to connect with you on that. But again, thank you so much. This was fun. I enjoyed talking with you and learning a lot. And, to our listeners, again, you heard it. Dr. Anderson said, SMART goals, begin to write it down. Very, very clear. This is what's going to set you up. And I think this episode is appropriate for the season that we're in, the last quarter of the year. And, this is a season where I personally, I'm like, man, I want to gain that 12 pounds where I have to start struggling next year.
Right.
So if I begin to write my goals down, how can I avoid that from happening? I think it will set us all up for success in the new year. So for listeners, please go ahead. You've heard, you've been inspired. Now you want to implement. All right. So until next episode, when we meet again, remember that you all deserve to live at your finest well-being because you are worth it. Thank you again, Dr. Anderson, for being
Thank you so much.
podcast.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.